Welcome to the latest midweek car competition judging video here at BOTB. We'll now hand over to the lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name is Hannah Kent from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company as ETS. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and, using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
I'm Nigel Hicks. I've been a Supply League match official for the best part of 30 years and I'm an experienced football administrator.
My name is Chloe Morgan and I am a goalkeeper for Crystal Palace Women.
Hi, my name is Kieran Fitzgibbon. I've played football for more than 30 years and I'm now a senior county referee.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional footballer, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Good morning, my name is Roger Wheeler. I am a referee and I have been refereeing and lining for more than 30 years.
Good morning, my name is Peter Giorgio and I am a football and futsal referee.
Good morning, my name is Leo Donnellan. I'm an ex-professional football player, having been with Chelsea, Fulham and Leyton Orient.
Hi, I'm Jenna Scalacci, former professional footballer. I'm now a head coach on a Tottenham College programme.
Morning, judges. Please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 10 individual selections.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
Morning,
Matt.
Matt.
Morning, Matt.
Morning, Matt.
So we look like we have two players in shot. The player in black who's got his head tilted to the right and craned round, really looks to me like he's been sort of knocked off the ball by the guy in red who's behind him. I believe the ball personally is in front of in line with the player in black and sort of in front and out from the player in red. And as you can see, we've got a fairly tight line looking up from the player in black's eye and a much wider spread from the red player. So what I'm going to do is draw some lines up first from this player in black. You see one eye. It looks like he's sort of being pushed backwards and a bit off balance. So that goes up through Jenna's at the top and then through Nigel's here at the bottom. So we've got a fairly wide spread, but it sort of is a bit narrow, closer to the two players. And up from the player in red, we've got this really good eye. It goes up through Anna and Jenna's to the right of our screen as we're looking at this. And then we have a much wider spread through Nigel and Roger's. So Roger, I'll come to you first. You're quite a long way over to the left looking at the picture of, and I've put that up here. Could you explain your decision and obviously what you think's happening and the eye lines of the players in shot? And that would be great.
Yeah, Matt, good morning. I felt the ball was being played in from the left-hand side of the picture, and it was probably going to go certainly over the head of the player in red. And the player in black was thinking, yeah, I can possibly head this. And he's adjusting his body, he's going backwards, he's sort of turning sideways, and he reckons he's about to make an attempt to head the ball. But I got the feeling the ball was a little way away. They were still adjusting. But as I say, I think the black player for me is a possible to head it. I think for the red player, it's just going to go sail past him.
Okay.
And looking at the eyes, obviously, I cross them much further out than the majority.
Yeah. Okay. I'm actually just going to undo these two lines because I want to take it off his eyeball at this point. So I'm going to redraw these. So it's a little bit easier to see as a whole there, because just see where his eye is looking. And I'll come to you next. You're in line with Rodgers, but much closer to the two players. How did you see the shot and what was happening?
Yeah, morning, everyone. Thanks, Matt. I mean, I think really the gap from me to Roger, we're taking the same eye line on the player in red, I think. And the gap from me to Roger is really just the intersection of the lines from the player in black. I've got him looking slightly lower. I've got his eye coming out a little bit more 90 degrees from his face than most, and I think that's probably what's brought mine down. I do tend to agree. I think the ball is not just about to be played. It's not right on their heads. It's some way off yet, and so that was why I believed it was some distance off.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I'll come to you next, Chloe, who another one who's just the highest and closer to Roger than the rest of us. And I'll put the magnifier over the top. How did you see the challenge and what was happening?
Yeah, so I think I saw it slightly differently. I felt the ball was coming down. I did feel that it was slightly further away. I think just looking at the body positions of both players, neither one of them have any signs that they're sort of tensed and anticipating the ball's going to hit them imminently. So I did feel that it was slightly further away. I took being as coming down and potentially the black player then chesting the ball onwards and the red player not being fully alert to that, or just a little bit late to that position. I think in terms of the eye line of the player in black, I think I took a very similar eye line to the majority of the judges, but I think I took a little bit more of the feedback from the red player, just being a slightly higher eye line. That's how I saw it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Chloe. So next, obviously, we have the sort of three outliers away from this group. I wouldn't call this a cluster by any means, but it's a sort of a tighter group than with the three that we've just spoken to. Alain, I'll come to you. You're just here, highlighted, and you're just below Jenna's. If I magnify yours here, how did you see the photo and what had happened and the challenge?
Thank you, Matthew. I think, when you look at the player in red, he's got his head tilted backwards and slightly to the right. I think and he looks a bit like kind of surprised. So I think for me, it's a situation where maybe there's been a deflection and the ball is coming down, and it looks to me like the player in red has misjudged the ball. So he's out of the game. And the player in right is, for me, is in the air. He's attacking the ball and he's gonna head the ball. When you look at the eye of the player in red, I think he's looking from the corner of the eye. Hence, I went quite far on the right, and I tried to, from the height perspective, I looked at the player in black and I tried to draw a perpendicular to his pupil. That's how I ended up there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And Jenna, I'll come to you because you're so close to Alain to take your opinion on this as well. There you go, highlighted, and I'll put the magnifier again over your choice.
Yeah, pretty similar to what Alan's just said. I felt that the ball had just travelled over the player in red, and the player in black was adjusting his body, backtracking to make a touch. That's why I've gone closer. I felt it was about to be played. I used the eye line of the guy in red and just used like the middle of his forehead, really, just to get where my line met the eye line of the player in black. So I felt like the ball was dropping in immediately to the player in black, who was adjusting his body to meet it.
Yeah, and obviously I'm going to ask this question to you, and I may need to have Alain come back and explain as well. He's obviously looking up at your two choices. It is behind the player in red. Personally, my concern on this was that, he's almost like looking up through the top of his head to look at the ball. And if we imagine the ball is in front of him, could you just sort of explain a bit further about your thoughts about how the ball had got past the vertical part of his head?
I feel like it is in front of him, not above him.
Yeah.
So that's where I've gone there, but it's just difficult to.
Yeah, so it's in
picture.
front, in line with the blue. I mean, I'll come back to you, Alan, as well, because I've mentioned the same point. Is that I think I said at the very beginning, the player in black's in front of the player in red as we're looking at the photo, and the ball is obviously, I believe, in line with the player in black. So again, it's the question of the position of the ball behind the player in red, if you know what I mean.
I think personally the ball is between the two players, and as I mentioned, actually, maybe I was wrong. I said the head of the player in red was tilted on the right. In fact, he's tilted on the left.
Yep.
So he's looking towards the left. And, from this position, I think you can see the ball on his left-hand side, slightly up.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, because I think it's important, because obviously we've got such a spread today. Any bit of information is going to be critical to this. Thank you. Peter, I'll highlight yours here. You're just at the top of this sort of the main group of 7 over here, and I'll put the magnifier on it. How have you seen the action?
Yeah, I agree with Alan that the ball is in between the two players, and with the player in red tilting his head, it's starting to go over his head, but it is just slightly in front of him, and you can see his expression. His mouth is open, so he's stretching out and he's looking. So I don't think it's past his head. It's certainly in front of him, but not as far to the left, but just slightly in front of him. And then with the eye line for the player in black, that's where I've taken the height from. And I do agree also that he's probably favourite for the ball, because the player in red basically he misjudged it, or he's just following the flight of the ball. So that's where I put the centre of the ball.
Okay,
there.
Thank you very much. And Leo, you're just below Peter's here. Again, magnifying yours, and I'll put the magnifier over the top of your choice. How have you seen this? Obviously, there's a differing opinion between who's favourite for the ball. I personally don't think the player in black's favourite for the ball, because he looks like he's so off balance. But obviously, Peter disagrees. So having these sort of disagreements and different perspectives is a good thing. So how did you see this?
Yeah, hi Matt. I got my height from the player in black, but unlike maybe a lot of people, I think the player in red is still competing for this ball. I think he's very close to the player in black. He's leaning into him, and I still think he's got a chance of getting to the ball that's coming into both players. I think the player in black is adjusting his body position to just get in line with the ball to head the ball. But as I said, Matt, with both eye lines and the position of the player in red, I just think they're both competing for the ball, which is coming in.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Andy, I'll come to you. You're here in the green with your choice sort of vertically above the player in red, and I'll put the highlighter over the top of it. How have you seen the picture?
Thanks, Matt. I personally think that the guy in black is gonna power into the header. It is the way his hair is, etc., etc. I feel that the ball's dropping in quite rapidly into that spot, whether it's coming in straight down or from a slight angle. But something Peter said just earlier regarding the guy in red, his mouth's open. I feel that the reason I've put my ball where it is that when you're tilting your head backwards or sideways, whatever, your mouth begins to open slightly further and further. If you look at the guy in black, his mouth is open, but not as wide as, because he's coming straight into it. For me, the guy in red, as I said, like his mouth's open. That's why I feel that the ball is literally above his head, because we've all agreed that he's beginning to tilt backwards, etc. You're saying that you can't see out through the top of your eyelids. So that's why I've placed mine almost directly above his head. But I said, I do feel that the guy in black, his body language tells me he's going to power through that.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, yeah, I did say about, obviously we said it before about not looking up, but as Jenna and Alan have clarified, the ball is sort of out in the foreground a little bit, so that sort of negates that. But thank you very much for pointing that out. And lastly, Kieran, you're here. You're just next to me, and I'll highlight yours. How did you see the challenge and the scenario?
Yes, thanks, Matt. I'm very much agreeing with the last few judges here. I agree with Leo that I think there's a contact between these players. I think because the player in black is at a funny angle, I suspect there's been hip contact as both players are coming in to play the ball, which is also why I think the ball is a little bit nearer than some of our colleagues. I do think the mouths are open. There's a bit of tension, so they're expecting the ball imminently. And I think it's between the two players, but in the air. And the reason why the player in black is at a sort of sideways angle onto the ball is possibly because the contact has been made by the player in red.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. So obviously we have quite a large spread as a judging panel. So as my remit, I am going to remove Roger, Nigel, and Chloe's. And you see that the calculation brings it back into the middle of us as a group. And I will now redraw some lines up from the player in red, and I'll do this player in blue as well to get a sort of a tighter angle on the next part of the judging. Oops, sorry, that's went awry there. Okay, now again, it's very important to note that obviously I've removed 3 judges because I think they're far enough away from the rest of the panel to move this calculated average quite a lot. Because obviously from the players' perspective of this competition, they're going to be looking at the 2 eye lines. So one of my concerns is Alain and Jenna's up here being a little bit too far back, but that's, balanced by Kieran and myself being at the front. And I think with this new average that I'm highlighting here, you'll see that, there's really just Leo and Andy's that is wholly within the magnifier now. But I think it's a good balance of the individual choices. And I think looking at this as a photograph, it makes infinite sense. And then obviously the center of the ball is slightly different from our own judging. So with this in mind, I'd like to judge or go to a vote to judge at this average with the 7 remaining. We're not going to debate or vote on whether Nigel, Chloe's or Roger's are to come back in, just whether we go to this. Now, if we decide as a group not to go forward with this, then there's a bit more debate about whether we should possibly remove other people. So if you could just expand on that in your own individual votes, that would be brilliant. So obviously everyone has got to vote with this. No, sorry, I'll take that back. The 7 of us have got to vote with this. I will start by saying that I believe we should go forward with this calculated average, and I'll come down. Andy, you're the next one.
I'm happy with that calculated average. It's probably more in line with my own personal opinion on this one. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Great. Thank you. Kieran?
Yeah, I'm happier with that average. I'm a little unsure about the 2 on the right. I'm not sure what it would look like without those 2 in, but I'm certainly happier with that than it was.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can show you because I can remove them.
See, I would find that a better average because then you've got 5 all encompassed within the group.
Yeah, okay.
That's my opinion.
Yeah. Alain?
Yeah, Matt, can I ask you to draw a line from the play in red to the average, just to double check, if he's looking in that direction?
So that's a sort of a line going through it there.
Yeah. To me, it's still, I still think it looks a bit more on the right. But as a panel judging, it works with me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And that's important to note that we all have a differing opinion. We'll never land on the same spot, but it's trying to make the decision we make one that the players of the competition can understand, because obviously they won't understand certain choices, but as a whole, they need to look at us as a group, as a panel, so the discussion is important. Thank you. So Peter?
Yes, I'm happy with that, because if you started taking out the ones to the right and to the left, it just balances it out. And even though it's slightly lower than where my central ball, I think it's if you put it over the cross, it just touches. So for me, that works.
Okay, thank you very much. And Leo?
Yeah, I like the average with everybody in it, Matt. I think everybody merits to be in it.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And lastly, Jenna?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's balanced like that. You've got your 3 sets of pairs and then the one in the middle of the pairs. So yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, thank you very much. So Hannah, after myself removing Nigel, Chloe and Roger, as I felt they were far enough away to be just removed on the spot, we've had a discussion and we are going to go with the average as shown with the remaining 7 choices.
Okay, thank you. If you're all happy, then please click submit. Great, thank you, judges. The coordinates selected are 2583 and 1249. These coordinates will now be passed to the Alston Company Assets to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you, everyone.